one. Hello, everyone. I want to thank you again for coming out with us on our Tuesday tips that we have at Distillery Creative. I'm Suzanne Reed, and I have a wonderful guest with me today. I have Steve Gamble from Edit This. Hey, Steve.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for having me on.
We are so glad to have you, and we are going to be talking about a topic that I absolutely love, and that's why I invited you, because I know you love to write too. But it's about blogging. We're going to help our viewers understand a little bit about what's a blog, why it's important to blog, and we're going to be answering some questions that we've gotten from some of our customers. So let's just first get right into it and talk about you a little bit. Why I invited you is because you've been around Denton for a long time, and you've got a lot of expertise in writing. Tell us a little bit, our audience, about you, a little bit about your background.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You asked me earlier before we got started, about my background as far as newspapers and things like that. I've been writing for a long time, and I love every second of it, even after all these years. Believe it or not, I've been a writer and an editor for just more than 20 years now.
Wow.
I started in newspapers as a sports writer when I was still in college, and I've been doing it ever since. During that time, I've also dabbled in various other projects while also doing some freelance writing and editing for magazines and other publications. And 3 years ago, I formally started Edit This. And what I try to do with Edit This is it's a writing and editing services company. And I help business owners come up with the right words to communicate with their customers, whether that be existing customers or potential clients. And I do that in a number of ways through content writing for websites, press releases, editing, proofreading, copy editing, even blogs, which obviously is what we're going to talk about today. I like to say I handle anything involving the written word. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's you've got a lot of good background. That's why we like to work with you. We like to have Steve help us out on our blogs. We have a lot of customers who have understood the need for a blog and don't have the time because they're too busy running their business. And so they've hired us to do that. And you come alongside and help us do that. And a lot of people are afraid to write blogs. They are. They just don't write. A lot of people just don't feel like that's their strong suit. So we're so glad to have someone with your expertise. I mean, you've been trained with the best being in the newspaper world. I mean, there's no better training than the floor of a newspaper room. I mean, and how things have changed so much now, where we've gone all pretty much to web mostly now and new opportunities to write, news stories basically with our blogs, So let's talk about what a blog is. Maybe you could explain for our viewers what a blog is.
Well, sure. Let me first start with this. Like you said, obviously, with the topic of this conversation, blogging is very important. In fact, if you're a business owner out there listening to us right now, if you're not blogging, you're really doing your business and your customers a huge disservice because you're not putting that value-added content out there to communicate with your clients and get yourself, more recognized out there and search results and things like that on the web. Now, backing up a little bit, for those of you who don't know what a blog is, a blog is basically a short web article where you can share knowledge and information with readers and potential clients about your industry. So if you're whether that be, if you're a roofing contractor or a bakery owner, even a writer like myself, I'm sure you've seen that little blog tab on a business owner's website. And if you click on that, you should be able to find a ton of value-added content, like I said, on a variety of topics. And if you do it consistently, if you blog consistently enough, what that's going to do is, number one, it's going to push more traffic to your website because of that fresh, relevant content that you're consistently putting out there. And then number two, because of that, you're in turn making your website more valuable when it comes to Google searches, SEO, things of that nature. So you're improving your overall Google ranking. And basically, in layman's terms, you're going to show up in search results faster. If you're a roofer, and somebody types in roofing help or a particular topic, you're going to show up at the top of that list. And that's what you want. And that's what blogs are able to give you. And it's you want to make it ridiculously easy for customers to find you in those search results. And there's a lot of stuff out there on blogs that you can read up on and try to, clue yourself in. I do it because I want to have those authentic relationships and back and forth connections with my clients. I want to be the authority on my profession. I want to have that consistent voice, and I want to have those authentic relationships, and blogs give me that.
So here's a question I got from someone. Someone just asked me, how often should small business owners be blogging? Or does it depend on the industry is the rest of that question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Really, the opinions on that run the gamut. I know people that they blog several times a day. I have, other customers that will, and then people that I just know in general who blog several times a week. Maybe even, every week, just in general. The bottom line is whatever you decide on what you want to do. Well, first of all, the more you blog, the better it's going to be for you. That's first and foremost. But when you do decide to blog, you want to be consistent about it. If you're going to blog every single day, if you're going to blog a couple of times a week, then you want to be consistent about that.
You better blog every day. Once you make a commitment, people expect that, and it's
absolutely
super important too.
Absolutely. I'll blog, on a Thursday, for example, and I make it a point, blog every single Thursday without fail. Get something out there. Blog several different times in the day if you need to, if you've got stuff going on. But people do expect that. Make that commitment, because the consistency factor is the key there.
One thing I tell our clients is that we build strictly WordPress websites, and we do that because that's the easiest website for our customers to be able to get in and actually blog from. And so there's a little way that you can set your blogs. Like say you set your blogs, you say for Thursday, you could actually write your blog on the previous weekend, or maybe 3 or 4 of them up, and then get them all scheduled. And you can schedule them to launch on those days that you schedule every Thursday at 8 a.m. And that's a great way to kind of handle that scheduling and help you with that consistency.
You're right. There's a million tools out there on those particular types of sites on the back end that allow you to have a lot of control, a lot of creative control on how you're doing that. And the last thing you want to do is wait till the day of for your blog to be trying to throw those out there. And if you can, the same thing happened with me today, actually. I wrote a blog post for my website. And I wrote it last night, and I scheduled it to publish this morning, because I knew that I had other things going on, and I went ahead and took advantage of that because I knew that I wanted to have a blog post out on a Thursday, and I got it handled ahead of time and scheduled it.
Yeah, those tools are really helpful. So absolutely. I want to talk more about the SEO advantages of blogging. There's a lot of them. For example, you talked about bringing people to your website. So the advantage to that is that the more people that find your website through your blog posts, bringing more people, that increases your search engine results, where you rank on your page. Do you want to say a little more about that too?
Yes, and like I said, we've talked about that a little bit already in terms of touching on blog consistently, and you're using the right SEO keywords and things of that nature, and you're being consistent, you're increasing your visibility.
And that's what we train our customers too, about how to use keywords, those keywords that their customers are looking for to help bring those posts up in the search engine.
Right. And keywords are obviously important, and I'm not trying to downplay them when I say this by any stretch of the imagination. When you're writing your blogs, you want to make sure you have the keywords in there, but you also want to make sure that you maintain the tone and the voice that you're trying to make sure that basically the point of the blog that you're trying to get across, without sounding, I guess, too robotic or stilted. You want to make sure that I'm a big believer in a conversational tone to whatever you write, and finding a way to build credibility with your readership and a relationship with them. And the best way to do that is to just talk, write the way that you speak in a very conversational tone. You can still interject all those keywords and get the best of both worlds.
not to use a play on words, but the key word today is authenticity. And I think that's what you're talking about, right?
I mean, you have to be authentic. People these days, they could see right through you if you're not authentic. I mean, you hear it all the time in face-to-face interaction. Things that you see on the internet. Everything is about authenticity.
Exactly.
It's about who you know, and everything's about building relationships. People want to know who they're working with, and they want to be able to trust. They want to be able to trust that you are the authority in that particular industry.
I can think of a couple of cases where Distillery Creative has actually gotten a job because of our blog post. This one client hired us because we were talking about web design trends. And so that she had read our blog and said that was the reason why she hired us, because she liked our viewpoint on web trends and how we design our website. So what you're saying is exactly true.
Yeah,
So,
and when you take the blogs and you start sharing them on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, all those sorts of things, you start generating all that traffic, and you're able to start having conversations with people. I've noticed, especially this last week on LinkedIn, I've been able to have several cool conversations with people that have either commented on my blog post or have sent me private messages just to kind of add to the conversation. And it's cool because you blog all the time and you're wondering, well, man, is anybody reading this? Is the point getting across? Do people enjoy it? And so when you hear back from people, it's like, man, I really am making some sort of a connection with these people.
and it's amazing around the world. I mean, I've had connections around the world from things like this blogging, our website, just connecting with people
Absolutely.
in Australia and England, that are seeing our site and seeing, what we're writing about. We've talked about the importance. Let's help some people understand, how do you recommend starting to blog?
Well, not a shameless plug here, but I say call the great folks at Distillery Creative. Call myself at Edit This. We can help
you answer.
We could help you come up with that great introductory blog post, and find something of value that you can start that conversation with your clientele and your readership, and then we could take it a step further and help you strategize on future topics,
right?
Frequency of your blog posts, what you're going to be talking about. Like I said, obviously, the more you blog, the better off you are. There's plenty of people out there that are not afraid of putting themselves out there. They don't feel that overwhelming feeling of getting a blog post started for the first time. And then there's others that just need that little extra push. They need somebody on their side to just kind of help them along and get that process started. I would say to somebody who's new to blogging, I would definitely get somebody in your corner like yourself, Suzanne, myself, that can help you with that. And then, go from there and determine the frequency and stay consistent with it and go at it. Nobody knows your business as well as you do.
Exactly.
If you're really passionate about what you're doing and what you're talking about, that's going to come across in your blogs. And it's a lot easier than you think. I remember when I first got started, I was a little overwhelmed too, but even as a writer, I was overwhelmed, as odd as that may sound. But it's a lot of fun. And I think that if you just take that plunge, you'll realize just how much fun it is.
Here's another good question that just popped up. It says, what do you suggest for consistently coming up with new ideas for blogging? That's a really hard thing for a lot of people. Good question.
It really is. I'll tell you what I do as a writer. I mean, you would think, oh man, there's probably a million topics out there on the internet. And it really is.
It really is. Yeah.
What you want to do is try to focus a lot on what's going on in your world. I can talk about writer's block, for example.
Yeah.
I can talk about tips to be a better writer. And a lot of people talk about that sort of stuff. Yeah. But what I try to do is I try to relate it to things that are going on in my world, my business, my customers, experiences that I'm dealing with on a daily or a weekly basis, things that maybe I messed up on and was a learning experience for me. Maybe I was able to. Yeah, maybe I was share yourself in that in that thought process.
Right.
Things that my customers really needed were kind of a feel-good story. Those are where you can really start, because those are authentic. And they're your stories. They're nobody else's stories, so they can't be duplicated.
Right.
I think that's where you really strike a chord with people, and you're really able to develop relationships.
Right.
And then you can kind of go from there. And you can focus on industry trends. That's another great thing. I mean,
so much.
There's so many different things going on, especially in what you guys do over at Distillery Creative. There's a million different things that you can talk about. I try not to overthink about it.
Yeah.
I try not to overthink about it. I focus on what's going on right now in my world, and then I can kind of branch off from there. That kind of gets the creative juice flowing a little bit.
It does. Like the problems that we're finding that we're just dealing with this week. That's a good topic.
Exactly.
We sure appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit more. I'd love to have you back some more time. Maybe we even offer a little, mini clinic on, starting like just points and stuff to help people with writing. That might be a topic for later. But
I'm all for it. Anytime.
Helping people out. So good. And audience, we just sure thank you for your questions today. It was really helpful just having more questions, and we're able to answer. And any other questions you have, just always feel free to go to our website at distillerycreative.com and ask us some more questions. We'd love to hear what you'd like us to talk about over the next few weeks, our coming weeks, so in our discussions. So our distillery discussions. So maybe that's what we'll call this. I like that.
I like that a lot too.
What's that?
I love that. That's great.
It's really cool. So thank you so much. And we'll be talking to you again soon, I know. And audience, thank you so much for coming in and visiting us today and seeing what we're doing. We'll be back again next week. We have a great guest next week. Next week, we're going to take it a little different. We've been talking about inbound marketing for the last few weeks. Next week, we're going to talk about print and print advertising with Murray Media Group. We have Kelly Murray coming on to be our guest next week, so that'll be fun. And she's going to talk about the best of Denton County and advertising with them, and just the advantages for small businesses. So you all have a great weekend and a great week, and start your blogging. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, Steve.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.